Ladies, what is your, he is probably a keeper, green flag? Empathy and consideration. Consideration being, thinking about the other person and what they may need even when they aren't present. My husband goes out to do some dirty/dusty work. I put the empty clothes hamper near the front door so he can strip and jump in the shower immediately when he gets home, and when he's in the shower I get him an iced drink for when he's done. My husband sees I fell asleep after dinner before I got a chance to do the dishes. He does them for me before he comes to bed so I can wake up to a, relatively, clean kitchen. The things he gets excited about sharing with me. If it's thoughts, feelings, little jokes, something he saw that reminded him of me, a book or song he liked, all of these are things we can have conversations about to explore what we have in common, or at least where we can agree to disagree. Also, if I ask him if he wants to go somewhere with me on X night, and he says yes without asking what we're doing or where we're going, that level of trust makes me happy. I do this with my girlfriend now, and she seems to love when I talk about things I like. This was such a thing for me too. In the mornings before work, he'll tell me about his wacky dreams, they're pretty crazy, and he'll take a picture of something he sees that day when it reminds him of me. Also, he's an amazing friend and will help his family or friends out whenever they need it. Almost 2 years in, and he treats my family like his family. It's really all the little things. Shortly after I started dating my now fiancé, he and I took my then 3-year-old sister out for frozen yogurt for her birthday. He helped her eat hers since he didn't want any and I was eating mine. Then he taught her to play Connect 4 and let her do the 3-year-old thing where they make up their own rules so they win. At one point, she looked up at him over her shoulder and said, "You're the best big brother in the whole world." She doesn't have any other brothers, so he's her first. My heart melted and I became 100% certain that he was who I needed. To this day, if my sister is asked who her sisters are, he gets listed with the rest of us, usually before me. He's definitely a keeper and I'm super grateful for him. Now that's amazing. Work had shipped me from my home in Canada to the UK for 3 months and for the first time in my life I was actually homesick. My then boyfriend, who didn't really know my friends well yet, dropped them a line letting them know I'd really love to hear from them, but don't tell me he'd asked them to do it. He's an introvert too, so very out of character for him to approach people like that. I didn't find out he'd done this until we'd gotten engaged and my friends were glad I'd finally realized he was the one for me because they all knew back when he asked them to help with my homesickness. We've been married 14 years now. That is so sweet and so amazing. Thanks for sharing, smiley face. I guess everyone has different green flags that work with them, but my moment of when I knew I was going to be with my so for the rest of my life is when I slept over and I was on period. I laid on my back in my sleep and woke up and realized I bled on the bed. I panicked because it was only my 3rd time spending the night and he got up and asked me what was wrong. I was so embarrassed, but I told him, and instead of being grossed out or anything he asked if I was okay. So while I went to the bathroom to clean up he took care of the old sheets and put on new ones. When I came back up he acted like nothing happened and we cuddled and fell asleep. He's an amazing person in so many different ways. I'm a lucky woman. TLDR, boyfriend changed bloody sheets and didn't make a big deal or think it was gross. Edit, I'm glad to see a lot of guys commenting seem to feel this is norm. Which it should be, but unfortunately I've been with other guys who were even disgusted if I told them I was on my period, let alone bleed on something. He owned more than one set of sheets. WTF? Read this to my girlfriend. I did the same thing early on in our relationship and wanted that real life repost karma. She reminded me that in the same era, I also offered her a pillowcase because I'd run out of toilet paper in my apartment. I tried to deny this chivalry breakdown. She put her book down flat on the table and said, "You told me it was all the rage in Paris. How they help you deal with all your crappy situations." My mother and I are currently estranged due to her mental illnesses and alcoholism. It's hard to deal with the coupling of the two, and has abused me verbally, emotionally, and mentally. I've told my current boyfriend about my fears, my sadness, my baggage, etc. when it comes to this, and he doesn't say a single awful thing about my mother. He of course says things like, "You deserve better, I'm so sorry, she shouldn't do that too," etc. but he has never called her any kind of name or even passed any kind of judgment on her. Also, if they compliment your personality, You want variety, not an exact replica of yourself. My wife's mother is pretty bad. She doesn't mean to be, she wants only the best for her kids, but she has very extreme views on how to raise kids and has been very strict with them. My wife was never allowed to watch television, listen to music more recent than the Beatles, radio was allowed, but only the shipping forecast, play with feminine toys, she bought herself a doll as soon as she was able, 15, or eat sweets or anything unhealthy. She was not allowed to celebrate Christmas and her birthday presents were things like donkeys for people in Africa, new school shoes or on one occasion, a porcelain rabbit. The only indulgence she was allowed was her books and even they were taken from her when she was caught reading one after bedtime with a torch, something that has deeply traumatized her. She finds it extremely difficult to get rid of anything. She used to steal white bread from her friends' houses as it was like sweets to her. Her mother's constant micromanagement caused her father to leave for a period of time and my wife developed anorexia. When I first met her she would talk to her mother on the phone every few days. She would always take the call, no matter where we were or what we were doing, and she would get very upset if she missed the call for some reason. Every phone call ended in tears. Home visits were worse. I once saw her mother ask her to chop a carrot, then spend 10 minutes telling her all the different ways in which she was doing it wrong. She has expressed on several occasions sentiments similar to what you are saying here. Don't say horrible things about my mother. Heck, she had to make me swear early on not to punch her. I just want to put forward the other side of this. My wife is the best person I have ever met. She cares about everyone. She worries about everyone and wants absolutely everyone to be happy and healthy. I have never met anyone who cares so much or so powerfully. I would walk through fire for her, but I am forced to watch this woman make her life hell? No. I refused. I told her in no uncertain terms what I thought of her mother and the way she treated her, and told her that if I could her mother treating her that way in front of me I would not stand for it. I didn't stand for it and it caused friction early on. However, after my wife met my own mother, and started visiting me in my home city, she started to understand. She had already known that her upbringing had not been normal, but after meeting my family, even as dysfunctional as it can sometimes be, and hearing our stories of my time growing up, she began to realize just how badly she had been mistreated and deal with that trauma. We have been together 13 years now and her anorexia is long stopped being a problem. She stands up to her mother and is a happier person for it. TLDR called my wife's mother all manner of things because she was a bad mother, and my wife needed to see that her mother was the problem, not her. Showed her that her relationship with her mother wasn't normal or healthy. Managed to not defenestrate her though very tempted. SDR not calling a bitch not necessarily the best option in all situations. My boyfriend and I are currently having to conceal the fact that we are dating from my parents. It's complicated. Anyway, my boyfriend is more understanding of their feelings and point of view than I am, has never said anything negative about them, tries to keep me from getting angry about it. Another man would have told me to ditch my relationship with my parents as too much work. His support is what makes it possible for me to maintain a normal life. You want variety, not an exact replica of yourself. This is true. He's a fun-loving actor, I'm an overworked chemist. He loosens me up and makes me laugh. I was eating some of my then boyfriend's, now husband's, ice cream while we were walking, after polishing off my smaller cup a block before, and gave it back to him. He said, "Have more. I don't want to eat all your ice cream." He laughed and said, "I always get a large, so you can eat part of it." Then I realized all the things he had done in the time I had known him, small considerate things like that, and he never mentioned them or wanted thanks. That was his green flag. My high school sweetheart, now husband, always gets a large fry anticipating that I will want some 3. He also saved our relationship by taking me to Dunkin' Donuts. I was thinking about breaking up with him because I wondered if I had only starting dating him as a rebound. I had been dumped by my first boyfriend just a couple months earlier. He could tell I was sad and that something was on my mind, so he took me to Dunkin' and we had vanilla chai and he was just so sweet and caring. I decided I'd be a fool if I dumped him, and here we are 12 years later, happily married and our first baby due in 2 months. Smiley face, he's the best.